Wall Street took a hit this week after some good and bad news from the Fed, cutting interest rates by 25 basis points, but also suggesting that in 2025, there will not be as many cuts as once planned. The decline crushing a lot of gains investors saw following the election. So where do we all stand right now? Well, President-elect Trump is taking office.
Yeah, for more, let's welcome in President of Americans for Tax Reform, Grover Norquist, and author of Financial Planning Made Personal and founder of Mitlin Financial, Larry Sprung. Great to have you, gentlemen.
Thanks for having me.
Good to be with you.
Good morning. So, Grover, I'll start with you. These interest rate cuts can be something that's confusing for some people. So can you explain why the stock market took such a hit after the cut and what that really means for everyday Americans?
We also put on the table that over the last couple of weeks, there's been a question about whether we're going to get the tax cuts that President Trump put forward in 2017 continued. You're hearing people in Congress going, oh, no, we can't have that large a tax cut. Chip Roy's called for raising the corporate income tax. I mean, it's been some very odd, unsettling situations. So I think one of the dangers is that people are looking at is that the tax cut may be delayed, it may get stopped. We're one bad car accident away from having Democrat control of the House of Representatives, which means a $4 trillion tax increase. That's a lot of uncertainty.
Well, Fed Chair Jerome Powell spoke about the rate cut and blamed the pullback on the future cuts in terms of the underperforming inflation rate. Larry, what should the strategy be by the Fed going forward? Because we saw in Trump's first administration that they were sort of like hostile toward him. Should we expect the same this time around?
It looks like he's going to be staying in his position, which I think is the one of the things that the markets are looking for. But at the same time, I think that these future cuts that were expected, now that they're not coming, markets don't like uncertainty. Sure. So that's something that really rattles them a little bit. And I think that was really the impetus behind the pullback we saw last week. And, time will tell. If we start seeing the inflationary data start improving and seeing inflation going away, they can always move that position very easily. But I think he wanted to put the markets on warning that it may not be as expected.
Right. And he did mention a strong jobs market, but yet many people are seeing otherwise. Let's look to the massive strikes we're seeing from both Amazon and Starbucks. Teamsters launching the Amazon strike at 10 facilities nationally after the company did not make the deadline to renegotiate contracts last Sunday. And Starbucks seeing strikes erupt at its Los Angeles, Chicago, and Seattle locations after contract negotiations stagnated. Grover, how long do these strikes last? And really, what's the impact going to look like here?
Well, had Biden gotten reelected, you would have seen an entire Department of Labor throwing in favor of putting their thumb on the scale for the union leadership, for the organized unions, not the workers, and that would have made these strikes make more sense. This may be a last gasp as the change takes place at the Labor Department, as the Democrats had intended to abolish the idea of right to work. If they'd had the majorities in both houses, even by one vote, they would have ended right to work. They would have given massive powers over to union leaderships to force people into unions. People could sign a card and that they say we won the election. And you wouldn't have even had fair elections when you do have unions. Keep in mind, 95% of the people in unions never voted to join that union. The union was there when they showed up. So these are not democratic structures. They're political structures. They were planning on rolling out in a second Biden term all the power of the government behind these strikes. So they're still happening, but I think they may be a last gasp for a while.
Interesting. So, Larry, President Trump was elected to save the union, not create more unions. And so far, these strikes have been modest, but we don't know where they'll end up going. And we don't know what other employees and other companies will actually start launching based upon what they see from Amazon and Starbucks. How do you see things playing out?
Yeah, I don't see things really growing from where we are today. I think it was really opportunistic to some degree, being that we're at the holiday season. You're talking about a company, Amazon, that is responsible for a lot of package shipments during that time. Starbucks very busy during the holiday season. So I think I agree with Grover. It's probably a last-ditch effort here, but I don't foresee it spreading. And quite frankly, as far as what we're concerned about and how it impacts the markets, I don't think it's at a large enough scale that's going to have an economic impact at this point. But something to keep an eye on for sure.
I'm still waiting on about 5 packages. That was scheduled to be delivered last
They
week.
said no delays.
Aren't we all? Grover Norquist and Larry Sprung, thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thank you.